What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to talk to you about ProText Mobility, ticker is TXTM. I'm going to give you a good breakdown of what is happening behind the scenes that could very much benefit them and what the technicals are saying. So I'm going to go over all the stuff you need to know. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that, let's get right to it. Market did just open roughly about 10 minutes ago, and there's roughly about 1.1 million shares being traded. And that's a little bit more of a situation as well behind the scenes. It's all connected at the end of the day. Average volume has dropped roughly from 65 or give or take around that to 29.8 million. And this is largely because of this. So the 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗃𝗃. And unfortunately, when over-the-counter stocks do have that 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗃, it does have a lot of restrictions placed on it, such as a lot of brokers and individuals, mostly from the States, cannot purchase it. I am from Canada and I seem to be the only one taking advantage of these prices because with the lack of volume, it's been very volatile. So I've been able to catch the 0.0011 multiple times. So I'm very happy with that in my aspect, of course, but looking on the actual chart itself, it has gone down quite a lot because of, like I mentioned, that new tag for the 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗃𝗃. But there is some positive stuff. It does look like there is a petition going around requesting over-the-counter markets to kind of remove all the CE tags and ultimately let the shareholders have their own right to choose based on the risk and that around that. Because keep in mind, when it comes down to 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗃𝗃, as you can see, it does say buyer beware. Over-the-counter markets group has determined that there is a public interest concern associated with this company. And typically it's a little bit more false advertising, fraud, those kind of situations that get this 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗃𝗃 tag. So when it comes to ProText getting this tag, it's not good by any means. But I think behind the scenes they are working on getting this removed, but in the short term, what has happened, like I mentioned, just the price has gone down considerably. And even right here, it was getting to a very good market cap price that could technically get uplisted to the NASDAQ. Of course, there were some other qualifications that need to be done, but theoretically, it was keeping in line with their overall bigger picture goal. Right now, 13.4 million is the market cap, so it has been hit quite hard. When it comes down to shorts, I think as well shorts are really taking a step back over the last little bit, but technically based on the 12th, so last Friday, I believe 72.79% of the overall volume for that day was attributed to shorts. So who knows, at this stage in the game, maybe they're getting back in because of this. Again, it's hard to tell ultimately, but Dr. J is back on Twitter. He's been back for the last little bit, but I think no matter what, even if they do get this CE tag put back or taken off, I should say, I don't think ProText will go back to what it was as far as a huge amount of investor confidence, because this has really damaged the actual sentiment behind the scenes from what you can tell based on retail investors. And Twitter was one very good place that management, so Dr. J and Dylan, were really hyping up investors and vice versa. I really liked the actual engagement Dr. J did with typical retail investors, that they would engage and in some cases as well send free products. So I think in general though, the management at ProText is on point. But like I mentioned, I don't think the sentiment will ever get back to what it was. My own interpretation, of course, I'm not a financial advisor or anything, but based on the technical, surprisingly with the lower volume and that tag still on, it's been holding some pretty good support by a lot of stances. So once again, that could be a positive sign, negative sign. It's up to you guys to make your own determination. It is lower percentile of the Bollinger Band. Stochastic is currently at 46, which is fairly neutral. Number of retail investors have been getting back in slowly, but of course that's most likely Canadians behind the scenes. I think there's only one or two brokers in the States that does allow individuals to buy ProText or potentially just 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗃𝗃 tags. But again, that's a little bit more of a negative. And once again, I think ProText does really need to jump all over that. But in the short term, I think it's just going to be in this consolidation limbo for the next little bit until this tag does get removed. Of course, if this doesn't, that might unfortunately be the demise of ProText. Of course, I don't want that because fundamentally it's a very good business. It should do a lot of good things. Just in order for it to go up, you need buyers, and the Canadians, as much as I love us Canadians, we don't really have that much amount of capital versus the States. Plain and simple. Obviously, some people might disagree with that, but it is what it is. If you want big money to get in, you want and you need the Americans. And I think in general, that's basically where ProText is at. Technicals are, for the most part, like I said, fairly neutral despite everything. But once again, if you do really like ProText, I highly recommend you popping over here and doing this petition. That might result in a little bit more of a positive action. But on a side note as well, ProText and their lawyers are technically still working diligently through that to get this CE tag removed. But with all that, let me know your thoughts on ProText in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Always greatly appreciate that. And with that, let's all make a lot of money on ProText.